Hello and welcome again to Beers Bands FPL back again after a short absence. And we missed that 1 week through being mentally busy. But yeah, as always, loads going on, loads to talk about. And yeah, if you could follow us on at Beers Bands FPL, that's at
Bands Beers FPL.
I knew I was going to get it wrong. That's what happens when you take a week off. Yeah, if you follow on Twitter.
Yeah, Bands Beers FPL on Twitter and on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Amazing. So, bit of a exciting week with transfer deadline day. A few transfers coming in. I think what Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest had about 40 between them. So not Crystal Palace, Southampton. Sorry. So got a few interesting things going forward to keep an eye on. But yeah, it's quite an interesting week, and we're just going to start off with a quick band. So we're going to go band song recommendation rather than our usual format, just to kind of get right into the meat of it. So what have we got this week just for the band song recommendation?
It's kind of one of yours that you got me onto. Bobo Johnson was a recommendation of yours a little while ago, and the song that we both recommend is Peach Scone. As you can see, tons and tons of views or listens on Spotify. So yeah, we'll tag him in the video anyway. But Hobo Johnson, Peach Scone, get on that. Let's just not say anything about what kind of song it is or what it sounds like. It's definitely worth checking out, no matter what kind of music you're into. So yeah, Hobo Johnson, Peach Scone.
Give it a surprise. All right, beer wise, you want to go first because I think
mine's
is.
Let's do yours first, since I've got a picture of it on the screen. Tell me what this is.
So that we need the picture on screen to do it justice, because I would show it on my camera, but it just wouldn't be enough.
Can you see it? Yeah.
So essentially, it's still on the Hobo Johnson. I think on my side.
Hold on. Here it comes. We go. What is this?
Perfect. So Northern Monk, cracking, actually an English brewery this time, around a Scottish brewery, based in let's say Leeds. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely cracking brewery. And I don't know if some of you might recognise this, but the Chris Simpson artist is really famous on Facebook for his unique drawings. And yeah, so the beer's called How to Make Friends with Strangers. And then the tagline is link toes with a stranger of your choice to show them you are a caring person and you mean them no harm. So yeah, and it just sums up. It pretty much just sums up Chris Simpson, artist. He's absolutely brilliant. Follow him on Facebook and give him a like, because the surreal art is just absolutely hilarious, man. It never fails to raise a smile when I see it. So I thought you would like this beer. Give you a wee kind of a giggle while we were talking. So this is part of their Patrons project, where they hook up with different brands and firms and stuff like that. So I don't know if you remember a while back, they did a Ron Seal beer. So they teamed up with the Ron Seal fence paints to make a beer, which was absolutely brilliant. They teamed up with, is it Seabrook crisps? And they did cheese and onion lager, which was mental. Like drinking a lager and then eating a pack of cheese and onion crisps at the end is exactly what it tasted like. Absolutely crazy. Good for like novelty aspect. I don't think I'd be drinking too much of them though, but yeah, this one's an absolute cracker. So I definitely recommend checking them out if you're a fan of A, Chris Simpson artist, and B, great beer. So Northern Monk is my choice.
I like it. It's the same kind of beer that I've got as well. I can see on the can it's a double dry hopped IPA, 7%. I'll stop sharing this just now so I can show you mine. So mine is also a double dry hopped IPA. And if we can see the can here, and from the 90s, hopefully people that are watching this are old enough to remember who he is. So this is by Sureshot Brewing from Manchester. And as I said, it's a double dry hopped IPA. It's 6.5%. It's lovely, very nice anyway. But the description, if I can try and read this out without making an arse of it, is it says, blobby IPA, double dry blobbed with Simcoe blobs at a blob of blob per litre. Blobby aroma blob. Blobby blob apricot and blob fruit. Blobby blob earthy pine. Blobby. So that's the description of the actual beer. And the beer is called Done Blobbing. So, Sureshot in Manchester, brilliant can, love it, tasty, funny, novelty, excellent.
The best part is we both picked comedy beers this week, which is great.
I know.
And as a perfect segue into my, well, I don't know if you want to go your points first, because you actually did have like a good haul, whereas the comedy of my points might be funnier, but we'll probably start with yours because it'll look better.
I don't think it was too comedy. I think we've done okay in the grand scheme of things. Like, for me, like, obviously, I went Salah captain over Haaland, which was only 7 points of a difference, really. It wasn't terrible. 84 points, back into the top 1 million now, which is all right. What I'd done to the team was I had 2 free transfers. I moved in Gundogan for Mount. Not a great decision in the end when he blanked, but I kind of thought he was going to get something. I knew he was going to start. And then with the Reece James chat of him being injured or ill, and then Trippier maybe being injured, but also playing away to Liverpool, I needed another defender. I didn't trust having Patterson alongside Cancelo and Alexander-Arnold, and I wasn't going to play Archer. So I used my second free transfer to get in Pervis Estupiñán, if that's how you say it.
The man with the best name in football.
I know, it's excellent, man. Pervis.
Big Pervis.
So I did a wee bit of research on him, and I could see he was kind of good for assists. I know he's sort of been a left winger most of his career, and he's now been playing as a left wing back for Brighton. Looked pretty good, so I went for him over Dunk, which was a good shout in the end. He got 4 points instead of the -1 that Dunk got. Got an assist, but unfortunately got a yellow card. The clean sheet was wiped out as well. So his ceiling was quite high there. And I kind of felt that he seems quite nailed, and I wanted to get into that Brighton defence. So it worked out all right. Martinelli goal. I was at a gig the other night, and I didn't get to see the Man City game, but my watch was going every 2 seconds, and I could just see Haaland. So I just thought when I came out of that show, it was going to be a disaster. But I was happy with the Cancelo goal, Martinelli scoring, Pereira getting an assist, Jesus, and then a couple of assists for Salah. So I saved it a little bit from being terrible. If I'd captained Haaland, I would have been on 91 points. So, no, I was pretty happy with that, considering that's the second week in a row that I've not captained Haaland and he got 17 points. So, could have been worse. So, I'm quite happy with that. Wasn't terrible. So, there's just some stuff about it that I kind of feel could have been better, but yeah, could have been worse. What's the point total then? 340 I'm on, and then we'll flick over and see yours. So 71, okay.
Not as bad. I mean, finally look at the difference in rank between me and you. Like, you're in the top 1 million, and I'm still 3.2. Terrifying. Yeah. So essentially, this for the week before two free transfers, decided to pitch out Mount and Bailey. Brought in Harrison and Trossard. I should have probably gone Gross, but as usual, trying to be different and think ahead is costing me. But quite happy. They played quite well. Did okay. Harrison did okay as well. I just really annoyed the fact that 2 of them are playing each other. If they were playing anybody else, I reckon I got a higher points. So I really like the look of Harrison, especially with Rodrigo injured. I think Harrison is definitely going to start hauling. Even if it's assists, I think he'll start to pick up. They've got a fairly decent run. I don't even think that Man United game's definitely not a red. I'm still not convinced about Man United. They just don't look. I mean, they look okay and they're getting better, but I still don't think they're brilliant. Rico Henry continues to punish me, even though I thought surely Brentford will do the business for us. Brought in.
Yeah, he started well.
Yeah. So once we heard that Reece James was going to be injured, decided to bring in Saliba because I heard that obviously Zinchenko was a doubt as well. So thought he might have done the business for me and kept a clean sheet against Villa, but surprisingly, Arsenal seem to be wanting to win 2-1 every single game this season. Played okay, not too bad. I'm mostly disappointed in how Liverpool were playing. Again, letting the side down. I think I'm really being punished by the fact that I didn't bring Cancelo in earlier. And it's really taught me a lesson that going forward, certain players are indispensable. And I really think that Cancelo is one of those players that you really need to have in your team and just set and forget, regardless of the fixture. I just think City look absolutely insane at the minute. And I think Haaland is just linking up perfectly with both the midfield and Cancelo and stuff like that for forward play. So I think I'm definitely bringing him in this week. But yeah, that's really been causing me problems. I think that's where I've been looking at it. I think how many 12 pointers has he got now? Something like 3 in the 5 game weeks. So he's definitely
7-11, 0 in that freaky 3-3 game, and then 1 in that game where they played against Palace in their 12. So consistent, yeah, a couple of freaky results, but yeah, he's a must-have. I wouldn't go without him.
I know he's definitely punished me. Like I think that's what's causing me massive problems. I think that in between Trent and Salah not maybe playing their best has also hurt me. So yeah, quite happy he managed to get the Haaland train at the right time. Jesus continues to be an absolute revelation, and again another player that's just set and forget. I don't understand anybody else that would have another forward line unless you're going for the three. There's just no point in having anybody but those two. Kane, maybe. I mean, I think Kane, there is arguments for Kane, but I just think Haaland just looks absolutely unstoppable at the minute. Jesus looks brilliant as well. So
you got an assist from Saka eventually. Something like, I know a lot of people were losing patience with him. He was on he got an assist in the first game, and then that was a couple of blanks or 2 assists in a row. So yeah, he's returning some of the investment.
It's massively frustrating though, because I assumed that Martinelli would have been dropped out by now or would have dipped in form, but Martinelli seems to be again another player that's punishing me as well because he keeps getting the returns. Between him and Odegaard, particularly, like if he'd had them ahead of Saka, and Saka's usually the player that gets the returns, but for some reason this season just doesn't. I mean, he still played really well. Like I think I watched the match of the day and the eye test for him. Like pulling forward, he's getting balls in the box. He's proven a threat. He almost won that penalty as well, which is debatable whether it was a penalty or not with Mings. But yeah, I'm not too bored. I think going forward, I feel quite comfortable with this team. It's not like a wild card team or anything like that, but there's just wee mistakes I keep making every week that I need to try and tweak and get rid of going into the end of the season. So I think in the lead up to the World Cup, I'm quite happy with it. I will wild card eventually, but for the minute, my plans really are to take out Trent and switch him for Cancelo because I'm tired of losing those Cancelo points. I don't think there's going to be a switch around. A lot of people are saying, why would you ditch Trent and you should have both or whatever, but I'd much rather have the double City defence than even one Liverpool defender in my team at the minute. They just do not seem capable of not shipping goals. So, yeah. And even that 9-0 performance against Bournemouth, I think a lot of people thought they turned the corner after that, but I think they still look really shaky. Like they didn't look absolutely amazing against Newcastle. They definitely conduct like at points there would have been chances for the other team. So yeah, I think that's my transfer this week. I think it's just to get Cancelo in. I don't care about Trent, to be honest. So that's me. I say that now. Cancelo probably blank and Trent will get a double or something. Who knows? But yeah, I'd rather have Cancelo going up against Aston Villa than Liverpool at the minute.
It's tough, man. Like I've got them both anyway, and I don't think I'm going to move any of James, Trent, or Cancelo. I think people have been jumping off all 3 of them because there's been blanks here and there. But I just like that. I just like that set and forget the 3 of them. If one of them becomes a problem, I'll deal with it. But I just feel like there's a hole in any of them any given week. Like even if Liverpool play terrible, then you could rely on like James or Cancelo to get you a 10-pointer out of nowhere. So I'm quite happy with the 3 of them. I don't think I'll move. Even when I get to wildcard, it depends. We'll see how things are there. Chelsea as a defence aren't really filling me with much joy at the moment. So we'll sort of see how that goes. But yeah, it's tough to be moving off Trent, but I like the idea because City are so solid, man. So if you want to double up on them, then there's nothing wrong with that. I like it.
No, that's what I need to go for. I think like I'm just I need to be more stable and I can't see past City at the minute. They just look impervious. There's a word for you. Yes, I'm looking at like the previous results for Liverpool against Everton, and there has been victories, but it's usually they've dropped a goal. Robertson tends to be the one that gets, in the previous game he scored. The game before that he had 2 assists. Trent no real return. The game before that, they get beat 2-0 Everton, so it doesn't really matter. Game before that 2 each. Andy Robertson again assisting. Yes, I mean I think I don't know. I'm just Andy Robertson is much better shout against Everton than I think even Trent. So my words will get this wrong because I'll get it wrong, but I actually fancy Robertson more than I do Trent for the Everton game. I think he's more likely to get returns, but want to watch anyway. If you look back at the results that Liverpool and Everton Andy Robertson seems to raise his game. So, yeah, want to watch. Trent, I'm not bothered about. I just don't care. I'm not even if he had a hat trick this week, he doesn't look anywhere near the player that he was last season. I don't really know what's going on with him, but even some of his defending's been terrible as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they'll get better.
I think I'm thinking about wildcarding probably between about 8 and 9. So there's just a couple of weeks to go, and I think, yeah, if his form doesn't improve a bit, like that 9-0 in the goal and the assist and all that could have been a bit of a rarity this season. So we'll see. He's definitely not 100% safe. I like having him just now. I feel safe enough, but I know what you mean. Like, look at the ownership comparison between Robertson and Trent, like 7.3 versus 48.8. Like, that's insane, thinking of Robertson as pretty much like a differential. So yeah, he's definitely not hitting the heights as he did last season, but none of them are Liverpool players. So you're right, like it's a shame, like, but we'll see.
I think, they're still adjusting. I'm only saying, by the way, I'm only saying target Robertson for this Everton game. I don't really know how good he'll be going forward. I haven't really been paying too much attention, but I think this Everton game, he looks like maybe a certainty. That's if he even starts. I don't know why Klopp keeps switching him out for Tsimikas. I don't really get the Tsimikas love. I've watched like 3 games with him now, and he just cannot cross a ball. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
So I was just flicking over here to the predicted lineups from this website that I do like. So if there's any chat of him maybe not playing or whatever, but I think Henderson's injured now as well, which is another problem for Liverpool. But they've got Thingy's back, Darwin Núñez, and Jota's almost back. So I think they will start getting better gradually. They've got to.
Yeah, I do think they'll turn a corner, and I do think they'll get better. They've had not really particularly tough games, but I just think really, really grindy games. And I think this game coming up is one of those games that it could go either way. But if you look at it, it's one that Robertson tends to excel at rather than Trent. So in the short term, I'm not too bored about losing Trent. I think I'll give it. I guarantee I'll be back on Liverpool big time in about 3 or 4 games. I think they really will turn the corner and they'll start to accelerate. But I think at the minute, it's just been very stuttery. Salah seems to be playing really far out in the wing. Doesn't seem to be getting involved as much. When was the last time? When was the last time Liverpool scored 9 goals? But when was the last time Liverpool scored so many goals in one game and Salah was not involved in any of them? It's mental. It's mind-boggling. So yeah, no, I think for the minute, I'm quite happy to go big on City.
Yeah.
Speaking of the City, just while we're here, before we go into the captaincy chat, what's your thoughts on whether Haaland starts at the weekend? Do you think he'll be reduced time, or?
No, I think he will. I think he's going to, like Pep said today. I think it was today, like comparing him, like saying his recovery time's really good because he's 22 years old. He was 32, then not so much, but he recovers quickly because he's young and he's sharp. So is that him playing games and he's going to end up benching him now? Who knows? But then I also seen a tweet that was like, if Haaland starts and plays 60 minutes, cool, it's all gravy for your team if you're captain him, whatever. If you captain him and he comes on and plays 20 minutes, it's still all good because he'll probably still score. And then if he doesn't play at all and you have someone like Salah, vice captain, or Jesus, that's still good. So I'm like, I feel like I've not captained them in the last couple of weeks because I've been like, Pep roulette, and it's punished me. So I feel like Haaland is maybe now worth that. I know we're going to talk about captaincy anyway, but it's kind of leaning into it. But answering that question, like I think he will still start. I think he's quite happy to start him and then pull him at 60 minutes. Like that is his rest instead of putting him on the bench and having coming on. So I think he's still going to start him. I think Pep loves having him as the main man. So I'd still be confident that he's going to start. And even if he doesn't, I wouldn't panic too much.
I think for me, this season's really proved to me that you can't have experience bias in this game. I feel like all of my experience in the past couple of seasons has kind of made me second guess certain players when I should really jump in on them. And it's made me think that I should just go back to the reduced idea of not overthinking things and just picking the players that look like they're on form and going to score goals. And I think form this season is really proven to be important. Martinelli's a perfect example. For me, I kept thinking, no, Martinelli's not going to be kept in the team. He's not going to keep scoring. That's all he's done. You look at Rodrigo, a similar example, although he's been injured. a great player. You kept thinking, no, he's not going to keep scoring. He keeps scoring. I brought in Harrison instead of Rodrigo. Thankfully, actually, one time that's paid off. But it just shows you now that you really try and catch form at the start, and it does. Like, this game really is a lot to do with form and fixture, but mainly I think form's playing a huge part this season. I think if you're watching players and they're passing the eye test and you really like them, you should be all over them. And I think that's why I need to stop overthinking certain players and comparing 2 or 3 together. Like I picked Trossard over Gross, right? Or Grob, as people keep saying, but I should have just gone with Gross because that's the form player. He's the one that's doing the business. Why pick Trossard and try and be clever? And it's just things like that, or maybe punishing me, just little tweaks that I need to make. That, like, getting Cancelo in this week is just a case of I'll have an extra 2 million in the bank to play with through the transfers I've made, and now I've got Cancelo in my team. I've got the double City defence going in against it's Aston Villa they play this weekend, a pretty weak Aston Villa team who I don't really see scoring. So just things like that, try and catch in the right trends beforehand, which brings us really nicely into the old captaincy debate. I know you spoke briefly about it. For me, I can't see past Haaland. I know a lot of people say you can never doubt Salah, as proven by the fact that he keeps getting results regardless of what we've been captaining him. He keeps bringing in assists or getting goals in the last minute and things like that you're not expecting it to happen, but it does. So what's your thoughts on it? I think for me, it's definitely got to be Haaland. I think even when we're talking about reduced minutes and stuff like that, he just looks so potent. I can imagine him coming on at 60 minutes and banging in a hat-trick quite easily. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's my choice, and I can't really see past it. I don't really see the point in moving. Who would you think, like, other than him and Salah? Is there anybody else that maybe catch your eye that you would like to put forward?
I don't think so. It's on Haaland for me, and it's going to stay there. Like I don't really like the idea of having Salah with the early kickoff, and then, like I've already said, that tweet that I've seen about if he starts, it's good. If he comes on, like you said, 20-30 minutes, he'll still do well. And then if he doesn't play for at all, cool. I'm happy to then fall back to Salah, but it's going to have to be on Haaland. And like you said as well, I just need to trust him more and trust Pep more. Like he's going to be the top scorer in the league this season. He's going to be the guy that drives them forward to the title possibly. So I need to stick with him. Outside of him, if people have got Kane and Haaland, why not go Kane at home to Fulham? I like that as a big differential because just now everyone's going to be between Haaland and Salah for captain because realistically you're not going to captain Jesus away to Man United. So I'd be comfortable if I had Haaland and Kane and Jesus and that was one of like the big freemium sort of thing. I don't see a problem with that. Kane looked pretty sharp against Forest even though he missed a penalty. So outside of that, I wouldn't go crazy with any differentials. Maybe Kevin De Bruyne. I've seen a few people had him captain midweek, and obviously it didn't pull off because he got rested. So he'll be playing the weekend. So if you're not going Haaland or you don't own him or whatever, Kane or KDB I think would be a good shout. But yeah, Haaland for me all day long.
It's interesting KDB because for me at the start of the season I was eyeing him up quite heavily because I kept thinking that he was probably going to be the one that was interesting to me. Like I felt like he was the one that was going to maybe, feed off Haaland, and obviously having Haaland there, he was going to be the one that was creating all the assists and things like that. But it hasn't really materialised like that. He always seems to be the player that plays the pass before the pass gets brought into Haaland. So he's an interesting player. I think he'll come really good at some point and start, bringing big hauls. But for the moment, I'm not enamoured with him too much. You spoke a little bit about Foden as well as a player, which I think we're going to go into in targets, but it seems to be quite interesting in terms of assists that he's putting in. So, yeah, I think for me, I can't see past Haaland. I think your argument about Jesus versus Man United's interesting. I still think Jesus and Arsenal will rip Man United to shreds, but have been wrong about these things in the past. But I can easily see Jesus getting a goal or two against Man United. I think that defence, although it's been sort of that perked up a wee bit by Varane. I just think they still look susceptible. So yeah, I can't. It's not going to be anybody else in Haaland. That's for me. That's the only one I want to pick. But yeah, if it was between that, Salah against Everton's, anything could happen. You know, Everton could win 3-0. Salah could smash in 5. It's just one of those games. But I'd rather stick with a tried and tested. So yeah, Haaland for me. That's what I'm going for.
Agreed. Yeah, same. The only thing I need maybe some input on is a transfer. Possibly, I'm still undecided if I want to keep Gundogan this week. And I'm quite keen on James Ward-Prowse, Zaha, the Leeds boys. That's the only thing I'm still really pondering my team. It's usually my captain's my last thing, but this week I just don't know if I want to make a transfer, if I want to roll, and then if I do transfer it, is it, am I doing this? Is it a bit of a knee-jerk because he blanked during the 6-0? Like, I kind of feel like I want to spread the love around different teams a little bit, and I want into Southampton. Maybe they get good fixtures, Leeds look good and all that. I don't know. That's something that's on my mind.
Let's talk about that then, because I think we're going to go on to people we like the look of anyway that are maybe not on our team, or conversely are on our team we're quite happy with. So, yeah, replacements for Gundo then. I mean, I still really like Gundo. I think he's going to do the business for you, but I think if you have doubts about him, who you mentioned Ward-Prowse, which I think is really interesting. I mean, I'm not Southampton are one of those teams that really aren't on my radar, but I'm intrigued by that chat. Like, what's his points, Hulse?
So, Ward-Prowse is this player that I seem to always have at one point at least throughout a season, and he does pretty well for me. But I feel like I sometimes jump on him too late. I think this happened last season. I think I'd said that I'd been touting him for a while, and then I didn't put him in, and then he had like 2 or 3 really big holes in a row, and I regretted it. So this season he scored against Tottenham, and then he got an assist and 2 bonus points, or 1 bonus point, I think it was. 2 bonus points against Leicester. Didn't return in the other games, but they've just beat Chelsea and they've looked all right. And I sort of feel like these fixtures coming up, Wolves away, Brentford at home, Villa away, Everton at home, and then if I had him, I would bench him for City. And then we've got some okay fixtures sort of here. There would be a wild card around here anyway, so it's maybe short term. These 2, 3, maybe 4 fixtures I'm just looking at. Obviously, we know he's on free kicks, he's on corners, he's on penalties. He's got a cracking pass, so he can be getting assists and open play as well. I just can't see past him. I just keep looking at him and I keep thinking, am I over-investing in City? Gundogan played 90 minutes midweek. Is he maybe going to get reduced minutes? I don't know. I'm seeing some predicted lineups with him in it and then some with him not in it, where they're playing Rodri in the hole and then Silva and KDB. And I'm like, just something keeps pulling me towards him. I don't know, like there's Zaha's a shout, the Leeds midfielders are a great shout as well. I don't know.
I mean, that would be my point entirely. I think I'm not sure what's Palace's fixtures like, but Zaha looks like we were talking earlier on about. I mean, that's Newcastle capable of scoring against them, particularly in our current predicament with defensive problems and players being injured and stuff like that. Man United, of course, he's a good chance scoring against them. Brighton, I would have said, would have been a tough game before watching that Leeds game, but I felt like they just weren't as strong and stalwart as he'd normally been. So he's definitely capable of scoring against them. Chelsea in a minute. I mean, I don't know what Chelsea are like in a minute. They just seem to be all over the place. So he's capable of scoring against them. Capable of going against Leeds. He's 110% capable of scoring 3 against Leicester, who are my bum team this season. I really think they're going to be struggling. So.
But it's only sort of these 3, maybe 4 fixtures, remember, because I'm probably going to wildcard 8 or 9. So I don't want to look too far ahead, because I mean, if we were at game week 10, I think everybody's going to get him in their teams for that stretch there, 10 to 18. But I'm just trying to think, like, what do I see Ward-Prowse getting? What do I see Zaha getting? And then bringing in the Leeds players into the conversation. Like, they've got Brentford, Forest, Man United away, then Villa, then Palace. Like, all of these players short term look good. I can't fit them all in. I'm going to need to either stick with Gundo, whose fixtures will just pull up here, are also very attractive. Like City can beat anyone, so it's tough, and I kind of feel like I'm going to make the wrong decision. But I think James Ward-Prowse, I think I might just do it. I might just have a few more beers tonight and just go with my gut, because I always neglect him.
I think you should go with your gut. I think you're 100% right. I think if you put thought into it, you talk about all the factors, such as like he's already had quite a few hauls. He's a great player. He's on all the set pieces. There's lots to like about it. My only worry is that Southampton can be quite a streaky team. So, they could be doing well one week and then terrible the next. I mean, how many times did they get scalped? Like 5 or 6-0 last season, and then go on and do that result against Chelsea is a perfect example of the kind of results they're capable of pulling out the bag. So, yeah, I think it's a shout. I think I'd be, especially those fixtures.
Yeah,
it's definitely
just
worth.
looks good. Like I just think goals are going in against all of those teams. I know Wolves got a clean sheet away to Bournemouth the other night, but I just see if I don't get him in this week, I want to get him in next week. But I'm just like, I might as well just do it now if I'm already feeling a little bit sceptical about Gundogan. So
I can't even see how where Wolves are getting goals from at the minute either. So there's a possibility of getting that clean sheet as well. That for me is interesting. So you've got that James Ward-Prowse, Zaha, and then I think we spoke briefly just before we started on a player from Man United, one of the new boys that we're maybe going to talk about that you were looking at as well. What's your thoughts on the old Anthony,
man, like he just looks great for Ajax, man. I really wanted Chelsea to sign him. I just thought it's not that he's just full of the tricks and stuff like that. His numbers weren't huge last season for Ajax, but I just think he's going to bring a new freshness to them. I don't know if he's going to start straight away this week, but he's on my radar big time. I kind of feel like Man United, I think they are going to turn this corner a bit and they'll start picking up more points. But maybe it's a sort of watch and see for the wild cardy time, because obviously Sancho's the same price as Anthony and Rashford's $1 million cheaper. So see how they settle over the next couple of weeks. But if we were going to talk about the players that signed in the last week that I would maybe consider being in my team, he's probably the only one. Like Aubameyang, I think he's overpriced. 9 million as a forward. Chelsea aren't firing now. Who else did we got?
I don't think Alba can actually. I was going to say, I don't think Alba can even start for a couple of weeks because you had these jaw broken or robbery incident or something. So, and even at that price, 9 million for a forward. I mean, who realistically you're taking out to get him in for that? It's not going to happen. The only other player that we would probably talk about that you really like, though, Colin, I think I'm actually quite keen to get in is Isak, however you want to say his name. Just different class for Sociedad, scoring against teams like Barcelona and stuff quite easily. That game against Liverpool, scores 2 goals. Fair enough, one of them got disallowed, but he's a player I'm really interested in, and they've got good fixtures as well. So he's definitely on the watch list. I think maybe again the problem is where do you fit him in that sort of forward line. It's quite a bit of a hard one to, unless you've got the money in the bank, to move up one of your bench fodder, whoever your bench fodder is. I mean, I've got currently French Eddie, so I could probably switch out French Eddie for Isak and play a 3 up front. But yeah, he's another one that's came in that I'm quite keen on, and I definitely think other people should be looking at him if they are, if they're capable of reshaping a team to have that front three. And if you're on a wild card, honestly, I think it might be a no-brainer to get him in.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the front three because it's something that I just wasn't really keen on at the very start, but now I'm kind of thinking about it for on the wild card, because I'm just sort of thinking, obviously spread the wealth a little bit, but even James, Trent, Cancelo, there's been concerns about them. So on a wild card, it wouldn't be crazy to downgrade one of these and then bring in either Mitrovic, Tony, or Isak in the 6.5, 7 million sort of region. I think it's a good shout. This gives you much more fluidity. If 2 of your big hitters have got tough games, or City are playing Liverpool, or some of Chelsea are playing Liverpool, you could drop one of them, or you've got a cheaper Fana in there or something. I just think it's on my radar now. I don't want to have this bench fodder here of Archer that's never going to get me points and give me no options. So I think 3 up top is a good option on the wild card. I like it.
Yeah, I think if you're going to chase things out, I think look at form. If you're bringing a wild card, look at form. The players that are going forward that have been, consistent are definitely the ones to bring in. I also think be careful about bringing in some of maybe the newer players because they will take time to bed in. So don't expect too many players to hit the ground running. Maybe like Isak's done, but I think that'll be a rarity. I think a lot of players might take a week or two just to get acclimatised. So don't go crazy on unless you're comfortable and you feel comfortable benching those choices. I'd be careful just about bringing in some of the kind of newer signings that have been brought in. But yeah, wildcards are an interesting one. I think I'm looking forward to it in a couple of weeks' time to sit down and redraft my team and really like look at bringing in the players that. So, I mean, I'm really happy with my goalkeeping choice. I think like
Sanchez is the
bold Sanchez has been perfect for me. Done really well. a few wee one pointers and stuff like that, but like he's been fairly consistent getting the returns for me. So yeah, absolutely happy with that. But going forward, I think a wee change in formation and then having that fluidity. I think this time around, I'm definitely going to be strong maybe on bench position 1 and bench position 2, and then the third one I'm not overly bored about, maybe be a midfield forward or something. But I think just having that rotational idea so that I don't need to play. Thankfully, not played taking any hits this season, and I'm hoping I can keep going forward and not taking any if I don't need to. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm interested in. Just a little quick aside just before we finish, I'm quite keen to talk about Man United. We've already briefly touched on them with Anthony and stuff like that. Do you think they've turned the corner? Do you think they're now worth bringing players in? Do you think they'll, is that defence going to get you clean sheets still going forward? Is the midfield going to bring in points, assists and goals? Is there any players that really jump out? What do you think?
It's a work in progress, isn't it? Like, I know, yeah, they got those 2 clean sheets against Southampton and Leicester away, which is reasonably impressive. Like, you think, I know Leicester have been terrible, but the players they still had on the pitch with Vardy and Tielemans and Maddison and all that and Barnes, like they're capable. Don't know what's going on with them. And then Southampton don't have as much of a firepower, but I think they will. They've got to. Like, they've just got the players. Malacia looks really good. Casemiro's going to come in now and should be getting more minutes. And then obviously they've signed Antony, so they've got even more firepower going forward. And Ronaldo's still there. Like, he could be a great impact off the bench. Like, I think they're going to get better. But like I think I said, I would probably be waiting a little bit further down the line, maybe around the wild card time, when we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of information about them. Could then squeeze maybe someone in. Rashford's had really good prices, only 6.3 just now. So yeah, they're affordable because they were so terrible last season. Even Varane, less than 5 million. So there's options there. I'm interested.
I think one of the players I really like is both Sancho and Dalot. I think Sancho will get better, but I think Dalot is quite good. The only problem with Dalot at the minute is he's absolutely shoo-in for a yellow card at the minute. So I think he's one of the players that I'd like to look at going forward. But I think once he gets his discipline and he starts sorting it, because 2 yellows in the past 2 games, he's likely to carry that forward. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but I thought that'd be quite a good one to finish up on because I'm quite keen to know what people think. So let us know in the comments what you think about Man United, whether you think they're going to turn the corner, whether you think they have turned the corner. Let us know about Liverpool as well. Like, what's your thoughts on Liverpool? You guys, anybody getting Nunes back in? It's quite an interesting conversation.
A big test for Man United. This will be the test we'll talk about after we see them play against Arsenal on Sunday. In next week's video, we can sort of assess, because that's 2 good fixtures after that. So maybe on the radar then.
Definitely. Brilliant. We'll finish up on that. Thanks for joining us. And if you have any questions want us to chat about, fire them in the comments, hit us on Twitter. Give us a follow, like and subscribe.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.